Do you remember the lens that we chose for this oneer? Do you remember what it was?
No. 35, 30,
40
60.
G40. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Which
That
ended
was,
up being like one of our go-tos for the season, big time, obviously.
yeah.
So that and the 35, you're right. It could have been either way.
Welcome to the process. I'm Aaron Moorhead, and this is my co-director, Justin Benson, and we're here with Hilary Feifer to talk about the cinematography of Daredevil Born Again. Justin,
Yes.
ask our favorite collaborator a question.
Okay, Hillary. Um, I'll make it simultaneously queuing up our general approach to this clip and a question for you in regards to it. So basically, I think the thing that the three of us talked about, what this shot would be, is in the tradition of these really dynamic oneers that the Daredevil show has always done, and that's sort of the legacy of the Netflix version. That here we would try our hand at it, and since this character is uniquely defined by their spirituality, their Catholicism relative to other comic book characters, that and that this event is going to shake the foundation of his faith, that the camera, the move would feel like a it's on the train tracks of fate, and it's almost like the indifferent universe, God, Lovecraftian entity, whatever you want, just keeps moving at that same pace back, and that creates a lot of really complicated light designs, doesn't it, Hillary?
It
And
does.
can you take us through the phases of the light designs in there?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of my favorite parts about this idea. It was this relentless camera move, that was just going to be on those tracks of fate. And big shout out to our gaffer Charlie Grubbs, of course, who did the most incredible job of, all of those lighting cues are all live, as you guys know. So we did that, with the interactive lighting of the headlights. We did when we knocked out the lights, the sparks were practical. One of my favorite moments with them fighting in silhouette against the door and sort of having that moment. Door busts free, bust down, and then we have, we continue, and then the hallway starting the strobe, and luckily not disorienting the actors so badly that they couldn't perform, and then coming up to the roof and having, even just like the way that the red light sort of is this like constant reminder of that like duality of Daredevil, but also just like a really interactive practical light in New York City, and having that on the rooftop, and then the flares, which just sort of are like pervading through as the camera just comes. I mean, it just, all of it was such a fun challenge to kind of keep it alive and keep it moving throughout the whole oneer, and how much we talked about the lensing remaining all consistent throughout, and framing, and then of course the speed of the camera move. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
fun challenge.
You just reminded me of, when you plan a oneer like this, there is basically no room whatsoever for jazz. You got to get it down to the frame. And Phil Silvera, the action director, if you see if you actually go on his Instagram, I think he posted the previs for it, the stunt viz for it. But I remember there was one big change we did on set, not from his viz, but lighting wise, was the strobe in the hallway was going to be a pure strobe, like full black, light up, full black, and it looked very, very cool. But the actors couldn't see. It became a safety hazard. They literally couldn't
Yeah.
like throw a punch and not know what was going to happen, because the strobe feels like a strobe feels like you're in a club. And so we thought, okay, well, we can just in post go to full black, no problem. It'll be a careful edit. And then we looked at what the solution was, which was to have a dim light on all the time, and it looked better. It looked way better, and also, of course, shows you the oneer, which is nice. But it also just looked better. I thought that was a cool little. And I felt like we made that left turn really quick, right? That was just like a turn on a light, no problem.
Yeah, it was just something that we saw on set and able to pivot, which was really cool. I mean, I think like in our minds, that suspended animation moment where it's just like staccato, like, kind of freeze frame as the strobe happened would have been really cool. But I agree with you, like just seeing it constantly, and kind of like the way that they're taking a breath and they're just fatigued, like all of that
Yeah.
was just yeah, it was kind of more textured and round. Just to see that, it
Yeah.
was awesome.
I just realized we never talked about it because we tried it in the edit and we realized that it started to look like style was taking over the moment in a weird way
Totally.
as well. So we ended up backing off it, and but that's luckily like it looked great anyways. You know, it looked better. So yeah, that was really
Absolutely.
cool.
You, myself, and Aaron have spent a lot of days in our little corner office. What's the studio's name we work out of again?
Silver
Silver
Cup.
Cup.
Silver
Yep, in
Cup.
Long Island City. Yep.
Spent a lot of time in our office, shot listing, bouncing ideas off each other. Do you remember? Did we work on this? We must have worked on this scene in that room. And if we did we already have our rule? And do you remember what our rule is?
About not
No
being
what?
normal. No, 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 no normal coverage, no normal things, no normie. Yeah, don't be normie. Yeah, for sure. I think we were pretty safe in staying away from too normie.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I
Yeah,
think what it started to become was once we like it became a gut instinct. Like there was like I remember the first season especially like once we wouldn't even you wouldn't even tell us that they're like okay well for this shot we should do like the 60 mil and we ended up getting this like grudge against the 60 mil anamorphic
yeah,
because
that's
it
right.
just like it weirdly said normie and then we found a way to use it this new season a lot more that didn't feel like that but there was just something about it that was like it's just coverage you know that kind of the dirty word
Yep.
yeah that I think designing this shot was uh I think probably the first moment when we realized how free we were, I think, because it was something that Marvel wanted a oneer, you know,
Yep.
whatever exactly it was. And the script had things in it that would have made a oneer impossible. And so, you know, things like, oh, and then we cut outside and we check in with somebody and all of that. And when we worked with you on like what it could be and Dario, for those listening, the showrunner, on what we'd need, he's just like, well, let's keep going. Let's keep the oneer going. And so we'd rewrite
Yeah.
moments and move them around and all of that. And it's that also our location happened to be oddly perfect for it. You know, where we had a stairwell and we had a long bar that kind of gave us that feeling that pushing on the train tracks. You know,
Mhm.
what do you remember from 4 o'clock in the morning getting the rooftop sequence right?
I mean, I remember them having to do that performance at 4 in the morning is definitely not easy, and they did an amazing, amazing job with it. But yeah, I mean, the thing about the bar, which was hard and great, was that it was practical. It was in Greenpoint in Brooklyn, a real bar, pretty amazing bar actually, like historical. I think what's the name of the original? Capri Social Club is the name of the actual bar, and
Mhm.
the stairwell also being practical. I think we learned our lesson of don't ever do that again in a, in a practical stairwell. But
Oh man.
really added something to it for sure, and
Yeah,
having Czar fall down the stairs practically was pretty
yeah,
real.
yeah. He fell down backwards, take after take after take. That was
Yep.
wild. And I asked him about it actually, um, and I said, do you get used to it? And he's like, it's terrifying every time. So,
I
yeah.
believe him
What do
completely.
you think? Oh, please.
No, I was going to say here's a funny observation I've never voiced, but I always think it. And I don't know if you guys do, and if you don't, it's okay. You can say, Justin, that's dumb. Here's what I'm going to say it. Uh, Phil Silvera, our action director, who obviously choreographs every little millisecond of these fights, the throwing of the knives. Look, almost the entire sequence is practical. These are real people, all that. But of course, you can't throw actual knives into someone, so the knives are VFX. I have no idea how Phil, in his mind's eye, keeps track of how many blades are flying in that scene because he knows every little thing, and he knew. And like, I still watch it done, and I'm like, I didn't notice that knife before, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Knife party.
Totally.
Yeah.
How are you keeping track of
Hillary,
the knives? Yeah, exactly.
Hillary, what would you say? Because when I think of the highlights of what we got to do with that, almost all of it ended up being like light stuff. What would you say is like lighting philosophy? What would you say?
Wow. Interesting. Interesting. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a
for
big
me, it's
question.
all, yeah, it is. No, but I think even in the just the respect of this show in particular, because we did some really fun stuff that was elevated, cinematic, wasn't totally, like our bullseye blue and stuff like that, wasn't necessarily motivated by something real. But in general, for me, it's motivated just from real life. I think and Charlie, our gaffer, was able to, like, we always joked about the trash truck lighting and like that flashing yellow light, but it was always rooted in something really practical and real. And I don't know. I mean, I used to just sort of wander around the city and look at light as my homework for the day, when I was starting out cinematography. And I think that that's kind of where it all comes from. Even if it is something that's unmotivated, it just comes from a real place.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I think that kind of lets it, whenever we get to go theatrical and experiential with it, or expressionistic is the word, it makes it that much more impactful, because it's otherwise feels like it's in our world. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
I just realized I have a burning question for Hillary that I realize I've been wondering this. Obviously, our heroic gaffer on Daredevil, Charlie Grubbs, is a very special individual who's insanely talented, and everyone should know we should give him credit for the blue light, bullseye's blue light,
Absolutely. Hmm.
for so many things, so many of the bold light choices. But you two are such a team. You two have such a like a beautiful working relationship. Obviously, so much amazing stuff has come of it. Do you remember how the heck do you know Charlie Grubbs?
The universe really delivered a gift with Charlie. I mean, I got very, very lucky. We had he came recommended to me through some mutual friends, and the best recommendations I think I've ever heard of a crew member. Every single person was just like, you got to talk to Charlie. Charlie's like, he's the one. And we had a great conversation, and sometimes you just can tell right away. Like, it's just like, magic's going to happen. And he had awesome references. There was a lot of music videos, like from the 80s, which I loved, a lot of like movies, and just like, he just really got it. And I think like from that moment, for me at least, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a really fun relationship. And this is actually our first show together. So it happened very quickly, that kind of like connection. Yeah. And now I just feel like he finishes my sentences, and vice versa. And I feel so lucky.
I thought you
I,
guys have been like, I would have guessed you guys have been working together like 15 years.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
the first one. Yeah, and
Wow.
he just came to us after Fallout. He did Fallout, that series, and so we got super lucky. Sometimes the universe, just the timing, everything works out, and I really do feel like that one was meant to be. So
Yeah. When on our indies, I'm the what you might call a DP, but it's funny to say that with you in the room. But I try to learn and steal secrets, but I can't really steal your secrets. I actually look at your lighting setups and I just don't know how you do it. It's like a miracle. I'd look around and I look at your fixtures and I talk to Charlie, and I'm not learning anything because I cannot figure it out. It's wizardry. And normally it's so obvious to me and I'm like, "Ooh, I want to use that trick." I don't know. I don't know how to do it. It's
takes
really,
a
really some
village.
magic stuff you guys do. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
I'm
you,
also
but
not particularly intelligent, so that helps. Like, I just don't pick it up.
not true.
All
But
right. For the record, Aaron is both a wonderful cinematographer and a very
Yes,
intelligent person.
yes,
I was
and
really just fishing for that. Thank you guys. I was kind of down on myself today, and I just needed some.
but truly though, I mean, we were so lucky as a crew that you guys have such incredible camera and lighting instincts and knowledge. I mean, that's not always the case, and so thank you for that. And I think it really inspired everyone because you're able to just, the language, all of it. So
It's so much more fun when you can do that. When you know what I mean? Like I don't think you have to be focused on just like the script or the actors or the camera, But isn't it just like so much more fun when you can make a scene talk to everything because you know the language of everything, and you're not like you don't hand wave any part of the process. It feels like you can, and also you move faster. You just move so much faster, It's
you
great.
really
Yeah.
do. Yeah, when you're all sort of like, your brains are on that wavelength and you can kind of like all talk that language. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many moments in the show that are that way because you guys see it, you get it right away.
Okay, so I want to go down memory lane, which was there were 2 days with 2 scenes that didn't actually intercut in the script, but we ended up intercutting them as the finale of episode 1, where Fisk walks out onto his balcony. There's these Klieg lights illuminating his face. he gets hit with the light, and it kind of reminds you of the Frank Miller comic panel that was very important to Sana, our exec. And then and it looks like he's looking down at Matt Murdock, who's moving through this boiling crowd, and a flashing red light hits his face. And both of those shots, for me, that we shot the Fisk one first, and that was like the moment the crew gelled. That was where it was just like, because it was a shot that everything had to handshake with each other, and everyone had to bring their A game, or it all falls apart. So, special effects had to nail it, lighting had to nail it. Also, I mean, the AD department had to nail it. They also had a crowd control thing, and especially with the Matt Murdock thing, there were so many cues. The camera was on a long techno and was pulling out and zooming at exactly the same time. Everybody had to be like so precisely on it, and it felt like everybody just needed that challenge. And then after that, we were all like ride or die. It was totally. Like the end of week 1 or end of week 2 or something, where we were like, we're family now. I just made it about Bad Boys and what's the family one? Fast and Furious.
Like every time Aaron talks about cinema, that's the only thing he brings up. But
those are the references.
But actually, Hillary, when you said earlier, you were saying how you felt like we contribute something unique to us because we come from sort of do-it-yourself, ultra low budget filmmaking. But you also come from that world.
Totally,
right?
100%. Yep.
And I think that's why the three of us have always gotten along so well. But also, funny observation, Hillary, I don't know if you experienced this, but when Aaron and I first started getting jobs in the industry at large, we would do the most. I look back, it's like, that's pretty embarrassing that we did that. Like, we'd be like, oh, like grab, like go touch the camera and grab, like we broke. So we may have on occasion broken a union rule out of pure habits of like, we wear a lot of hats and we do a lot of stuff, and like
pure joy of filmmaking.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
But Hillary, early on, do you feel like you had any of those moments where it's like you come from do-it-yourself stuff, so you find yourself doing things that you realize now on a union crew job, like, oh, people thought you were really weird.
Oh yeah.
It's like people still think Aaron and I are weird, but for different reasons. But
yeah, I mean, across the board, I feel like I've done that so many times. I mean, also am just weird in general, probably. But yeah, I mean, I think my biggest one was just operating. I used to operate all the time. I love it. I miss it. And I remember being like, yeah, I'll just hop in the car, put it on my shoulder, and just shoot the scene. And it's like, well, I can't really do that these days with, it's not necessarily the safest thing. There's union rules, all those things. So I was like, I'm ready. Let's do it. And it's funny how you just sort of like, for me personally, though, it's important to maintain all of that. Like I'm proud of that time and all the things that I learned, and applying it to now, because sometimes those are the best ways to just solve a problem. And so I don't know, I'm really grateful that those are the roots.
I feel like it usually is. I mean, I can't think of I struggle to think of a shot that we've done with like a techno crane that is more memorable than whatever our favorite handheld shot is from our $20,000 movie we made.
Totally. Yeah. And like just the way that you're approaching it, and like you guys are thinking about it from a practical place, which then informs everything. It's like, let's do it from that place. Let's not think of it from the other side of the telescope. And I think that like that's what's inspiring for everybody too. And it keeps everyone on their toes, because it's like, all right, we don't need to like rely on the fanciest, most expensive method. Like, let's just figure out the smartest way to do it. So yeah, it's also all I want to do next, by the way. It's just, like the tiniest.
We yearn for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really miss it. And it's just, there's something so fun and satisfying about being like that close to, the crew of 5 people just going for it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Working for free with 5 people. I'm ready.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
What was your favorite scene to shoot?
Oh man, so many of them. I mean, I really loved, especially after watching it, I really love the ball scene in 108 and just all the fun stuff we had with that. I really, seeing it all cut together and with the sound design and with the sensory moment that we did, and just, it just felt really fun and epic, and also just at the same time really with the characters and all the storylines. And I think the way that you guys crafted that and wove that all together was brilliant, honestly. So yeah.
You know what I'm proud of in that scene that I just thought of is I'm gonna. It's essentially this is that was 5 days of shooting in roughly the same location. It was all inside that ballroom, um, and I can't tell you that there's any shot that is just like another shot. But we weren't being variety for variety's sake. I remember when we were shot listing, we were just like, what's the scene need? And then we just kind of put it together. But there wasn't, you know what I mean? It was so nice because it was instinctual to you that it wasn't there's not let's not overthink this scene. This is coverage, it had a flow, and I think it would have been very easy to kind of regress, I guess would be the word, into something like coverage. But instead, I think the three of us really naturally just kind of like pieced it together, and then you watch the final product and realize, oh, no shot is like the other shot. That's a victory on a TV schedule to boot.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And big shout out to the AD department for that five
yeah.
days of crowd control. That was wild.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite shot in one of my favorite shots in the sequence is the sensory grande
Yes.
that we did up to the balcony with bullseye. It's so
And
good.
oh
What
my
do you
gosh.
think? What do you think the background talent was thinking when they see us set up three cameras on a dolly pointing in different directions? Were they just thinking like, "Wow, I guess they're running low on time. They got to just shoot every angle now." Like, I don't know.
Stereo vision.
Yeah, yeah.
Hillary, as always, it was a delight talking to you and hanging out. And thanks to everyone for listening. And we hope we do something cool enough to do this again.
Absolutely. It's a blast. Great to see you guys. Thank you again. Thanks, everyone.